Question et commentaire. Honorable député de Beauport-Limoilou.
Oui, merci, Monsieur le Président. Excusez-moi. Merci à la ministre d'État d'avoir fait un discours qui était plus près, justement, des objectifs de l'objet du débat d'aujourd'hui, contrairement à sa collègue ontarienne qui s'est égarée sur les déboires des consommateurs ontariens suite au démantèlement d'Hydro-Ontario par un gouvernement ultra-conservateur de Harris. Il y a d'ailleurs plusieurs ministres du cabinet actuel fédéral qui siégeaient à l'époque pour induire cette catastrophe. Ceci étant, je vais revenir sur le sujet et référer ma collègue au rapport sur la politique monétaire de la Banque du Canada qui indique que la marge excédentaire des entreprises au Canada reste quand même relativement élevée, tout comme d'ailleurs le chômage à long terme pour la classe de travailleurs de 25 à 54 ans, ce qui nous permet de déduire qu'il y a un manque de confiance des entreprises canadiennes vis-à-vis de l'avenir. Donc, les entreprises n'investissent pas. D'ailleurs, il y a eu très peu d'investissements pour améliorer la productivité dans les dernières années. Puis ça, c'est un héritage de ce gouvernement. Alors, est-ce que ma collègue convient avec la Banque du Canada qu'il y a un problème et que nos entreprises ne sont pas vraiment prêtes à faire face aux changements induits par la baisse du prix du baril et aussi la baisse de la valeur de la monnaie canadienne?
Ministre d'État.
There's so many things in that question. I think what I'll focus on, Mr. Speaker, is businesses' ability to, in Canada, to weather economic shock and make investments. And certainly, I think the stability that our government has put in place through legislation that we debated this week, like the one-for-one regulatory rule, where we're saying we're going to have a stable regulatory environment, is a very positive signal to business. Certainly, the CFIB supports that approach. A reduced corporate tax rate and increased trade agreements, which allow access to bigger markets, certainly help support the confidence of small business, Mr. Speaker. On the component with regard to productivity, I agree productivity is a major focus area for Canadian business, especially when we're looking at labour as an input cost. But again, I would encourage my colleague to look at my department's website, where we've invested heavily in productivity, especially for manufacturing initiatives like ACAMP, through SATE, Mr. Speaker, through the Saskatchewan Trade and Export Partnership, through in our aerospace sector through the Western Canadian Test Centre as well. A lot of initiatives looking specifically at productivity in certain sectors of the economy.
Questions and comments. The honourable member for Winnipeg North.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I take advantage of the fact that the minister is the minister responsible for Western diversification, and there has been a great deal of concern over the last little while in regards to the how the government's focus seems just to be on oil and the price of oil. And when we take a look at the resolution that's being proposed, it talks about having balance to the economy. So to that degree, this particular minister plays a very important role in Western Canada. I would think that the minister would recognize the value of infrastructure dollars that would assist our manufacturing companies and small businesses to be able to get their products to market, for example, to be able to invest. Quite often in certain areas of the province, you need to spend the infrastructure dollars. The question I have for the member is, why does she believe that the government has chosen to decrease infrastructure dollars from one-time spending of $2 billion to $120 million?
The Honourable Minister of State.
Mr. Speaker, trying to bring that question to the relevance of the debate at hand, my colleague is talking about investments in infrastructure, I think related to productivity and manufacturing capability in Western Canada in sectors that aren't necessarily related to the energy sector. So I'll give some examples of recent funding for that. So $3.3 million for the purchase and installation of specialized equipment at the Alberta Centre for Advanced Micro and Nanotechnology Products. Awesome centre. Shout out, guys. You're doing great work. The Western Canadian Test Centre, Inc. I was out there. I'll be out there again this week, Mr. Speaker. This is an equipment that allows for testing of engines. I believe we've put $2.5 million recently, but millions of dollars every time, the Canada Foundation for Innovation, this is infrastructure spending hundreds of millions of dollars to support research and development infrastructure, which again will help diversify the economy by creating intellectual property here in Canada. So, Mr. Speaker, I think my colleague was slightly confused, but I hope I brought some clarity to his question.